Hi everyone. So this week we are looking at week number 11, which is factorial design. So we're looking at experiments with two or more independent variables and how they can show us interactions. So we're studying at least two independent variables here. We're going to look at how this can help us to test limits, test theories, the different kinds of results that can come up. We can have main effects and interactions. We'll also look at some variations of factorial designs like independent groups, within groups, mixed. We can also increase the levels of the independent variable. And this is something that is like really intuitive, right? Like, do you want to go out to dinner tonight? Well, it depends on where we're going. Or like the book uses the example, do you want to go out to a movie? Well, it depends which movie and who's coming, right? So kind of looking at different layers, adding extra layers to things, which we do a lot when we're looking at experiments. We want to see if maybe does it depend or only when, right? And that's the kind of information that we'll get with factorial designs. So when we look at these, we're looking at, typically we've been looking so far at examples that only have one independent variable, right? Well, we're looking at the effect of alcohol intake on the intensity of shock. We have different levels of different groups that are involved, right? We're looking at the comparison between them. So this only has one independent variable, and then we're measuring the dependent variable. Now we're going to add an extra layer and kind of look at differences between the differences. And that's what factorial designs do. If we're interested in determining if the relationship between two things is different among different conditions, we can add an extra independent variable or factor, right? We can call it either one if that helps you to remember. So let's say we were interested in determining if caffeine and memory is different for men and women, right? So now we have what is the effect of caffeine on memory and is it different for men and women? So we have two different independent variables that we're looking at. So when a factorial design is used, it has more than one independent variable or more than one factor. And all levels of each independent variable or factor could be combined with all levels of the other independent variable or factor. So for example, if we were looking at this relationship here on this slide, one independent variable could be the presence of caffeine. So it's either present or absent. And one independent variable could be gender, either male or female. And we would be measuring like memory, right? Which we would use with some kind of instrument. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but this would be, for example, like a 2 by 2 design, right? Which means that it has four different conditions that are present, right? You could have 1, 2, 3, and 4, like combining together, right? So you kind of see that sometimes these are referred to in a very numerical sort of way. But the essence here is that we're adding an extra layer or factor to what we are looking at. Now, when we're trying to interpret the results of factorial designs, we have what are called main effects and we have what are called interaction effects. A main effect is like an overall effect. Is there an overall effect of one independent variable on the dependent variable across all levels, right? If we have two independent variables, we could have two potential main effects, and you could have one for one and not for another, right? So if we were looking at the independent variable of like phototype and word type, we could have one for this and one for this, right? So main effects only have to do like with an overall effect, if that helps you to think about it, right? And we would use statistics in order to find this, which we're not necessarily doing here, but we would look at statistics to see if it was statistically significant. But assuming that we had a main effect, you could also potentially see this in a graph, which we'll look at a little bit as well. So if we wanted to look at a little bit more information, we could see if there was an interaction effect. Adding an extra independent variable allows for interaction effects, whether the effect of one independent variable depends on the level of another independent variable. So it's kind of asking this question here, is there a difference in the differences, right? So this would be like, is there a difference in caffeine for men versus women, right? Like it depends on like whether the person is male or female. It depends on the level of caffeine that they've ingested, right? So these tend to be more important and more telling than the main effects. So in essence here, what we're asking is, does the effect of caffeine on memory depend on somebody's gender? And we can have this interaction effect where it does depend. So, in a given situation, it's likely that more than one variable is affecting behavior and mental processes, right? Things tend to be complicated. There tend to be a lot of different things at play. So, let's see, we're looking at here like the effect of food type. So, looking at ice cream versus pancakes on how much you like it would depend on temperature, whether it is hot or cold. Now, as you can see here in this graph, right, just looking at it, there is a crossover interaction. The two of them cross at some point. And another way of looking at that or like phrasing that would be that a crossover interaction means it depends, right? People like ice cream more when it's cold and pancakes less when they're cold. They like ice cream less when it's hot and more when it's cold, right? Like, so you're kind of looking at it depends on the temperature of the food as to how much you like it. So there's kind of this point where it crosses each other and it's going to depend. So this is called a crossover interaction, which you can see as a point where they cross on the graph, kind of making it easy to remember. We can also have what's called a spreading interaction where they spread out in different directions. And so again, with this one, it's like only when, right? The proportion of time a dog sits is what we're measuring. And it's if we say nothing or say sit, but they only sit when you're holding a treat, right? They don't sit when you're not holding a treat. So it's only when a certain thing is happening. And you can see how they kind of spread out from each other, right? They go out in different directions. So the graphs can be really telling, and that the shape of them oftentimes can tell you a little bit more about what kind of interaction is taking place. So, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, when we're talking about independent variables, and we're only looking here at factorial designs with two independent variables, a two by two design means that we're going to have four different possible cells, right? Four cells or conditions, two levels of independent variable one and two levels of independent variable two creates four cells or conditions, which you can see here. So if we're looking at the effect of caffeine on memory, and we're looking at men and women, this is a two by two design. We have caffeine for men, caffeine for women, no caffeine for men, no caffeine for women, right? So four different cells or conditions. And again, down here, right, if we have on a cell phone versus not on a phone, and we're looking at younger drivers and older drivers, that's going to give us four possible cells or conditions. So if we have a two by two factorial design, that would have four conditions. A three by two factorial design would have six conditions. In theory, like a four by five would have 20, right? So how many numbers are in the notation, right? So like there's two numbers here. That is going to determine how many independent variables there are. So if we have a two by two or a three by three or a two by three, there are two numbers. So there are two independent variables, if that helps or makes sense. And then the numerical value of the numbers, what number is actually there, represents the number of levels of each of those independent variables. So if we had like a two by three, one has two conditions and one has three conditions. And you always multiply them by each other to get the number of cells. So a two by two has four cells, a two by three would have six cells, two by four would have eight, and so on. So it can seem a little bit confusing, but remember the number of numbers that are here represent the number of independent variables, and then what the number actually is represents the number of conditions that are present, as you can see on the little graphs down here as well, little figures down here. A couple of other things, right? So looking at this a little bit more. So here you can see here, like if we were looking at the effect of cell phone usage on age, right? So we're comparing younger drivers versus older drivers, whether they're on their phone or not. And you can see here, there's no spreading. There's no crossover, right? So maybe there isn't an interaction, right? And again, we'd have to use statistics to find this out, but you can kind of get a little bit of an indication from the graph that maybe there isn't an interaction effect here. There might be a main effect here, but not an interaction effect. So can we make a causal claim from this, right? We have to look at all those things we talked about before. Are there alternative explanations? Have we looked at covariance and so on? And we have to look at all these different factors, but we can examine more than one independent variable at a time, which is what we're adding here in our studies. And so this allows us to test limits, right? We're testing what is the limit here where these things interact with each other or don't. This also helps us to increase external validity. If we're testing younger drivers versus older drivers, we might be able to generalize this to drivers of all ages. Instead, if we were only testing like driving and on the phone or not on the phone, and we didn't take into account different ages, we might have some external validity or generalizability issues. So this gives us a little bit more strength and allows us to, again, test those limits. It also allows us to test theories. Many theories make predictions about how variables might interact with one another. And factorial designs are one of the best ways to test for an interaction. So let's say alcohol can become cognitively associated with thoughts of aggression. So we show someone a picture and then we show them a word and then have them identify is it a word or not a word. We're looking at reaction time, right? So we can kind of test different theories by looking for these interactions between variables. Another way of looking at that here, right, you could see if we were looking at that example. So just looking at the graph, right, using no statistics, we can see that this is a crossover interaction, right? It is going to be a situation where like it depends, right? Like, or only when, right? Depending on what it is that we conclude. So with this kind of example here, right, if we go back, right, go way back here just for a moment, right? So it depends, right? So it's going to depend if I go back, sorry, because I jump around on you here, right? It's going to depend on the type of photo and the type of words that are used, right? So really like amazing way to be able to look at more than one thing at a time. Again, remember kind of big ideas here that we have main effects and interaction effects, that the numbers, right, whether it's a 2 by 2 or a 3 by 2 can be very indicative, and that even though we're not using statistics here, we can oftentimes make some great conclusions just visually using the graphs. All right, so I hope that helps a little bit with week number 11. If you have any questions for me, of course, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, don't forget to get going on all the other materials for this week, and I will see you next week for week number 12.